Welcome to another day in the Matrix. So this video is going to be for the Patreon, and it is very experimental, but it's something that I found that I believe will be very helpful and give us a little more confidence into how this bull run might come to a conclusion. So we've spent a lot of speculation as to this 4-year cycle, and is it going to play out, perhaps the idea of an extended cycle. And you guys have been hearing me time and time again share how I feel that the end of the bull run for Bitcoin will happen on the new moon of December, which is December 4th, in this upcoming transition into the year 2022. We have a Shmita, which will be starting on Rosh Hashanah. Again, that'll be September 6th through 8th. And this is all sort of leading up to analysis that I've been doing in the background on stocks and the dot-com bubble crash and the dot-com bubble in general. And I have something really interesting to show you guys, and perhaps sort of our crystal ball into how this will all go, and even maybe give you guys a little more confidence into my theories and why I've been sharing this idea that Bitcoin will hit a new all-time high in December 2021 around the new moon, and then it will correct massively, upwards of 80% or so, and then we will actually just repeat our cycle moving into the next 4 years from that, which will be around 2025. So let's just quickly recap by paying attention to this right here. This little crown top that we have, it's flat crown top, and then a correction right back down into this what's called a backup phase in Wyckoff. So in Wyckoff, this would be called an SOS, this crown top, and then you have a backup phase before you enter new highs. So just quickly stare at this side of the screen, and then in 3, 2, 1, boom. Look at this. This is the Amazon chart from the 90s, from 1998 all the way over till around 2001, 2002. Now, I'm going to flip back in between these. I just want you to stare right there, okay? So this is the Amazon chart, 1998, Bitcoin chart, 2020, okay? Now let's look at the play-by-play. So you have Bitcoin being flat, crown top, backup phase with a W breakout that confirms on the neckline and then goes parabolic into January 8th. Amazon, flat, crown top, very clear W breakout, backup on the neckline, parabolic into January, right there, January 8th. That's insane. That's insane. This is almost identical up until this moment, but then we have a lot more confluence coming in. For one, you could see once it hit this price, it started to have it was a noticeable rejection. Just like right here, there was a big about 30-40% rejection before attempting new highs. And let's look at when the new high comes in. April 23rd. So we actually hit our high in April 14th, just a week or so away. So again, we have the crown top backup phase parabolic into a 8th of January, big correction. Crown top, backup phase, parabolic into January 8th, correction, and then hitting our highs in April, for Amazon. Then a big correction, which came into the summertime around July into August, and then a recovery, which got us pretty much back to the previous trading range by November, with the all-time high happening December 9th, December 8th. Okay? This is exactly what I've been telling everyone. And if we look on the moon cycles and just pay attention to this one right here, we can see that this actually does hit this top right on the new moon. Okay? The new moon of December. I'll zoom in. It's literally insane. Boom. About 2 trading days after. That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. Now, again, this is what I've been saying. This is exactly what I've been saying for Bitcoin. So this is astounding, okay? Let me just break down more. So we have a top happening around April, which is currently where we are at with Bitcoin. Our top was in April. Now, I believe we're sort of in this phase right here. We're in this phase of recovering into August, okay? Where we had our low dip back here around July 21st. You can see this is actually all the closures, excuse me. This is not wicks. There's no candle wicks in this chart. This is why it's very important for people to learn. This low that we got in our transition into late July, almost identical to this within a couple weeks. Now we're recovering. And where we recover will most likely be back to this area, the mid 40,000s range. Okay. Then we fulfill this trading range and then blast off from October, see early November, basically in a straight line into the highs. And then you see after that, it's just a consistent downtrend. And the consistent downtrend is very long from high to bottom. I think this is about 600 days. 660 days. Oh my goodness. So Bitcoin will do this faster, but I'm just letting you know that this structure right here looks almost identical to what I've been predicting for Bitcoin. So it's crazy to go back to the dot-com bubble before the Shmita started in the dot-com bubble crash and before 9/11 and see how this all played out, because it's pretty much identical. It's literally almost identical to what we're seeing now. Let's see the correction from top to bottom. Wow. 60% on the candle bodies. So for Bitcoin, it was 56%. That's crazy. This is crazy. I'm so glad that I caught this. I'm so glad that I had the time to make this video before I go on my interview today with Coach JV over at 3T Warrior Academy. So this is kind of interesting because our Shmita will be starting right here. It'll actually be starting during this phase, but I've been telling you guys that once we get through Virgo leading into Sagittarius near December, that's the time frame. That's really it. And I believe I've told you guys this before. You know, the December zodiac is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius equals the 144 in the English ordinal cipher in Gematria. And for those of you that watched my post on the Bitcoin crystal ball, the prediction for the end of the year, I said I'm expecting Bitcoin to go to 144,000. Now, the reason I came out with that number is a multitude of reasons, so go back and watch that video, but it's just also amazing that that's the zodiac at the time. And in the English ordinal cipher, which is pretty much the second purest cipher behind the Chaldean, you're getting that 144. And of course, I'm talking about using English words. And I know Sagittarius could be adopted from a mixture of Latin and etc. That's not really the point here, though. What I'm trying to say is that confluence of the 144 number is unescapable at this time. You know, the 144 blocks mined per day in Bitcoin, then the all-time high happening on the 14th of April, the 144, then the Bitcoin logarithmic growth chart capping out around the December new moon at 144,000. And then on top of that, that's the zodiac, which is Sagittarius, which equals 144. So I hope this short update and this sort of like theoretical video was good for you guys, because again, this is very freestyle and I wasn't planning on making this today, but I found this and I just felt like I needed to come out with this information. So are we repeating this? And if so, if we are, we're right about here. We're in the midst of this V-shaped recovery. That's where I see us at right here. And with Bitcoin, because there's so much volatility in this sector and there's so much money right now and there's so much accessibility, retail is holding a lot of this. This could, and I'm not talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking about cryptocurrencies, of course. In regards to cryptocurrencies versus these tech stocks of the late 90s, there's a similar amount of speculation, a similar amount of bubble quality to it. But also with Bitcoin, we have that cycle, and that cycle shows us time and time again that basically a year and a half to 2 years after a halving, we're hitting these all-time highs around the new moon of December. You could call it every 4 years, you know, but the long and short of it is I think Bitcoin is going to be fixed on this cycle until after the next halving. So after we get through the 2025, 2026, that's when I think it's going to change the whole game in regards to the scarcity model of Bitcoin. And that's when a lot of these more speculative altcoins are going to become well, we'll know what they're about by then. But for now, it's all just pump and dumps. It's all just, big, massive, volatile spikes to the upside where a lot of money's made and then draining out 80 to 90%. We've seen this literally just happen from the April highs down to the lows that we saw a couple, just last week. About 80 to 90% losses in some of these top altcoin plays. This is happening during a bull run. So anyone who's been sticking to my content for a while now, who's been following my work for a while, you've heard me say this so many times. You've heard me say like these altcoins are really sketchy because they could drain a lot of their value. So I'm not picking Bitcoin as my main holding because I have some like deep connection to Bitcoin. I could care less. I'm an investor, not a gambler. For me, this is not just all about making money. It's about preserving wealth. You can't preserve wealth when you have an altcoin as your main holding, which is down 80% from the top right now. Unless you sold it all or you sold a majority of it, it's not safe to be. So again, time in the market is better than timing the market. And the closest we've gotten to timing the market is utilizing these moon cycles, looking into the eclipses, learning about previous market structures that we've seen for similar sectors, such as this .com bubble scenario, and it's almost identical. So for now, we're just sort of in that reaccumulation phase. I don't think we're going to be as crazy choppy like this, but you never know. Like, you really never know. That's why I've been adamant about talking about taking slight profits, moving into the bull trap, which I'm seeing as early as next month. And then after that, the big question is, are we going to pull back to lows, back to the 29,000 level? Or are we just going to actually build structure? That's the thing that we have to wait on. We have to be patient about. And that's where it's going to be a little bit harder to navigate, because sometimes when Bitcoin becomes bullish, it just stays bullish. So it could actually come up to like 50, come back to 45, and then just stay in a trading range between 50 and 42,000 all the way up until November. And then it could just blast off by 200%. We don't know. What I just explained a couple seconds ago, if you rewind what I just said, that would be technically kind of what you would want to see out of a chart. The move to 50 and then dump back down to like 29, that's not really like, that's not the kind of stuff that we want to see. So if we're trying to protect our wealth and you're worried about that second scenario, then you need to take action. You can't be sitting around and wondering, like, you have to take action determining what makes the most sense to you, what you vibe with most, where you're at with your portfolio, what your cash flow is for your business or your job. Do you have a job? Are you collecting unemployment? There's so many things that go into this. So you just have to do what's best for you right now. And I'm going to make sure that every single week I can give you guys the best information possible. But if we don't fulfill, 50,000 or 48,000 Bitcoin, or if XRP doesn't go to $1 and then it crashes down to like 50 cents, what will you do about it? That's the kind of stuff that we need to be able to keep in mind. But as for everything I've been working on, our lows for the rest of the cycle should have been a week ago. And that's not my opinion. That is what we've seen in previous bull runs. This should be it. The last attempt to get to below 29,000, the bears failed. And it's because the New World Order knows where this is going to go way in advance, because they program their algorithm accordingly. And now this idea of a 20,000 Bitcoin, sure, if you want to wait on that, good luck. Expect all of your altcoins to basically lose another 50 to 60% of their value. And then that's kind of, just it is what it is. But as for my analysis and where I'm at with this, I see this being our low, based on the statistical outcome of previous bull runs. And now we move up into August, get some bullish momentum, what could be considered a relief rally. And then we actually pull back into creating more structure in the full moon of September, which is right after the Shmita. So the next 2 months are going to be really fun in this market, in my opinion, because we're going to be seeing, how this all plays out, and it's going to be the setup for what the round 2 of the bull run will look like. The what is called retail FOMO blow off top. We actually haven't gotten that necessarily. What I believe we can see near the middle of December into early January is a crazy bull run for the altcoins, like mind-boggling. And it'll just be because of the amount of liquidity that'll be injected into this sector before they want to pull the plug and do this boop to the downside for over a year. So that's something we have to prepare for, and that's what I'm trying to do for you guys every single day. So enjoy the rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.